Greeting YouTube. I apologize for the noise. I have fans running. It's kind of warm here today. Um, I've discussed before about when a lot of people capture their image of what is the golden era. It's what they're talking about when when they make the statement making America great again. There was a point in the past of certain people that they think that that right there, that moment in time, that's when things were best. And of course, currently the generation being appealed to is boomers. So a lot of these folks have a very similar time frame. And they've done research into this. And when you dig down into it, the time frame that a lot of people seem to capture is that best moment was when they were like 10 to 12. That is the best time. And I find myself thinking about that. And the best time is interesting because at that age, you're not quite a teenager. I think they call them tweens now. Um, but you have enough complexity to understand some of the world, but not enough complexity to understand all of the world. But you have a really firm grasp of that portion that you do get. It makes sense to you. The world makes sense. And in many ways, it's really simple. Because you don't have the grasp of all of the complexities, all those details are lost on you. So you're looking at a very blocky version of the world. It's a very low res. It's like looking at Minecraft. There are no details because you haven't achieved a level of complexity to perceive those details. Those details are there. You just do not see them. And as you get older, the resolution gets finer and finer and finer until you look around and you start seeing the world for what it is. Now, some people never get as far down that particular path as others do. Some people stop along the way and they don't want to go any further. They don't want to comprehend anything deeper than what they've achieved right now. In fact, they kind of long for that past moment. But that past moment, that best world version that was captured when you're like 10 to 12 is like capturing something in amber. Now, it's fascinating to see an animal, an insect, or even I've seen lizards captured in amber. You're literally looking at a creature that existed millions of years before. I would love to own a piece of amber that has an animal in it. I don't have one. That would be kind of cool. I think I may have a couple of pieces of amber kicking around, but none of them have any inclusions. Um, but as fascinating as that thing is, it's dead. It's static. It, it will never continue. It is literally frozen in time. It no longer reflects reality because the descendants of that creature's brethren, their cohort, could very likely look nothing like they did then because they continued to evolve. They continued to change. That thing stuck in the amber, that didn't. And too many people look at that amber and they're fascinated by it. They just keep turning it over in their hands. That's the best moment. But that best moment is gone. And it was only the best moment because you didn't understand the complexity of the world around you. And some people get very upset when they come to realize that the real world does not jibe with the version they have in their head of the best moment. Some will figure out why, and they'll come to reconcile that. Some won't, and they'll go out and seek help, therapy. Um, and some will just get angry because the juxtaposition between what they think of as the best world and the world around them is confusing. And then you have people coming along and telling them the worst thing of all, the very most evil thing that you can tell someone that considers that piece of amber to be the best thing ever, that it wasn't the best thing ever. It wasn't even the best thing for your family. It wasn't even the best thing for you. Your memory may think it was, but it wasn't. Because you didn't know the details of all the things that were going on around you, things that could have been adversely affecting you, your family, your community, the world at large, but you were unaware of them. And when somebody says, yeah, we need to teach everybody about the bad things that happened during that golden era, that moment trapped in amber. And that's the worst thing you can do, because some people are going to be seeing that as an attack on who they are, on the very core foundation of their belief in themselves. You are trying to undermine the very narrative the person has about who they are. How dare you tell me that there was injustice in that golden era? How dare you tell me that I, being a white person, benefited somehow from being white, when in actuality, I know I didn't. Because, well, they lived in an entirely white neighborhood, and they went to an entirely white school, and everyone they knew and spoke to and saw was white. And so they were very easily able to ignore the fact that they had things that other folks didn't, even if they were poor. A lot of times I've seen people argue, they'll say like, well, like a homeless white guy, and they'll compare him to like Michelle Obama, and telling them like, well, tell me how, how that man's doing better than she is. And of course, that's comparing chalk to cheese. And I always reply with, well, if you found yourself to be unhoused, would you rather be a white guy who's unhoused or a white woman? Would you rather be a white woman or a black man? Would you rather be a black man or a black woman? Would you rather be a black cis woman or a black trans woman? And each of these steps is another degree of power imbalance. Because I can tell you right now, it would be better to be an unhoused white cisgender guy than being an unhoused trans black woman. Worlds of difference. Just your survival rate is going to be significantly different. But a lot of folks don't want to hear that. They don't want to be told that things were bad during that golden era. And they were. And they are. And the people who are currently forming their memories now are having a harder time capturing things in amber, because the world is so much more connected. We have so much more information than we did then. It was easier for people in my cohort, and I'm on the young side for a boomer. I was born in 64, but technically I am a boomer. I believe 65 is the cutoff part. And it was easy for us because the only information we got was what was handed to us by the people who benefited by handing us the simplest version of the world. But now, the 10 and 12-year-olds, they can get information all over the place. They can see very easily that it's hotter today than it was last year, and hotter than the year before, and it was cooler the year before that, and cooler the year before that, and cooler the year before that. And they can see the charts and say, the world's getting warmer. Climate change is real. They can see the fascism in the world around them because they can read the history books, because the history's right here. They can just look it up. They can know when they're spewing bullshit at them. It's harder to fool them than it used to be. It's not impossible, and it's not an even demographic. It's easier to fool cisgender white kids than it is to fool, cisgender black kids, because the black kids see the world in a much harsher light because they don't have the privilege that white kids do. but it's still happening. The younger generation is far more aware, far more woke, if you will. But those moments in amber, they're the core belief of some people's narrative of themselves. And when you attack those core beliefs, you're attacking them. You're undermining the very foundation of who they are. So that's why they fight so tenaciously. That's why they're willing to do anything to protect that false narrative. Even embrace fascism. Because the fascists tell them that really was the best time. And we'll protect you and your memory and your identity and your narrative. So long as you cooperate with us and also help us kill everybody we don't like.